Saudi Arabia put $1.7 billion on the table to bring Lionel Messi to their league. It was a number so large it broke every record in sports history, but Messi turned it down. Instead, he chose Inter Miami, where his reported base salary sits at just $20.4 million. To the average fan, this looks like a terrible financial decision, but that salary figure is a lie. It's a deception that hides the most sophisticated revenue-sharing agreement in sports. To understand why he really walked away from $1 billion, you need to ignore the salary cap and look at the equity. Let's break down the math that confused everyone. Inter Miami guarantees Messi about $20.4 million a year, against a $1.7 billion offer that looks like a rounding error. But Inter Miami didn't have a choice. Unlike European leagues where the richest teams buy the best players, Major League Soccer uses a strict salary cap to enforce parity. They literally could not pay him a competitive wage in cash. This is where the Beckham rule comes in. Officially known as the designated player rule, it lets teams sign up to 3 players outside the salary cap. It was invented in 2007 to bring David Beckham to LA Galaxy. But even with this rule, Miami couldn't match the Saudi cash. So they stopped negotiating a salary and started negotiating ownership. The contract gives Messi the option to purchase an ownership stake in an MLS franchise after he retires. This is the golden ticket. When Beckham came to the MLS, his contract allowed him to buy an expansion team for a fixed fee of $25 million. At the time, people thought the league was struggling. Today, that $25 million investment turned into Inter Miami, an asset valued at over $600 million and climbing toward $1 billion. That is a return on investment you cannot get in the stock market. Messi saw this trajectory. He understands that cash payments are taxed and spent, but equity in a major US sports league is a compounding asset. The MLS is a closed league, there is no relegation. That makes franchise ownership incredibly secure and valuable compared to European clubs. By taking the equity option, Messi isn't just playing for a team. He is buying a piece of the entire infrastructure. He is betting that his presence will drive up the value of the very asset he has the right to buy. This is the difference between a laborer and an owner. The Saudi deal was a massive fee for services rendered. The Miami deal is a partnership. He's trading immediate liquid cash for generational wealth in a growing market. Most players never get this opportunity because owners refuse to dilute their shares, but Messi had the leverage to demand it. But equity is a long-term play that pays off years down the road. Messi didn't want to wait that long to get paid. So here's how he started printing cash on day one. While the equity play secures his future, Messi needed a way to match that Saudi cash flow immediately. This brings us to the most revolutionary part of the contract: the revenue-sharing agreements with the league's biggest commercial partners. This is where the deal breaks the mold of professional sports. Usually, a player signs with a team, and the team pays the player. But in this case, the league's broadcast partner, Apple, and the league's apparel partner, Adidas, stepped in to pay Messi directly. Let's look at the Apple deal first. In 2023, Apple committed $2.5 billion over 10 years to acquire the global streaming rights for Major League Soccer. They built a dedicated subscription service called MLS Season Pass. When Messi began negotiations, Apple executives realized that his arrival was the only thing that could drive the massive subscriber growth they needed to justify that $2.5 billion investment. So they offered him a cut of the revenue generated from new international subscribers to the MLS Season Pass. This is unprecedented. It would be like the NBA giving LeBron James a direct percentage of every new League Pass subscription sold, because they know people are tuning in specifically to watch him. Before Messi, the MLS Season Pass was averaging around 120,000 viewers per game. When Messi arrived, those numbers didn't just inch up, they exploded. Viewership for his debut match spiked, and the subscription numbers followed a vertical trajectory. By cutting Messi in on the subscription revenue, Apple effectively turned him into a partner in their streaming platform. He wasn't just an athlete performing for a camera, he was the primary marketing engine for a global tech product. Then there is the Adidas partnership. Messi has been an Adidas athlete for his entire career, but this contract structure is different. It's a profit-sharing agreement based on the sales of Inter Miami merchandise. This is the Jordan-esque model applied to soccer. Michael Jordan became a billionaire because he didn't just take a fee to wear Nikes, he took a percentage of the revenue from the Jordan brand. Messi negotiated a similar cut on all Adidas products linked to his move to MLS. The financial impact of this clause was immediate and violent. When the signing was announced, the supply chain simply broke. Adidas, one of the most sophisticated logistics companies on earth, sold out of Inter Miami jerseys almost instantly. The backlog for orders stretched into months. You had fans ordering shirts in July, who were told they wouldn't receive them until October. To handle the physical demand, Adidas had to open pop-up stores in Miami just to move inventory the second it came off the truck. The data backs up the chaos. Inter Miami merchandise sales jumped 50-fold. Think about that scale, a 5,000% increase in volume. For 3 consecutive seasons, Messi's number 10 jersey remained the best-selling shirt in the league, beating out every other player by a wide margin. But it wasn't just his shirt. His presence lifted the sales of his teammates' gear and general Inter Miami apparel. The pink hat with the heron logo became a global fashion staple, seen in cities where people couldn't even name another MLS team. This changes the industry standard because it blurs the line between salary and commercial revenue. In a traditional deal, the team pays the player, and the player signs separate endorsement deals on the side. Here, the endorsement deals are baked into the league's infrastructure. Messi gets paid when the league succeeds on Apple TV, and he gets paid when the league sells merchandise. He effectively bypassed the salary cap by monetizing the platform itself. While Messi is collecting checks from Apple and Adidas, we have to look at what his presence did to the value of the asset itself. This is the Messi effect, and it is the reason the Inter Miami ownership group was willing to give up equity to get him. They knew that giving him a piece of the pie was the only way to make the pie big enough to matter. Before Messi arrived, Inter Miami was valued at approximately $600 million. That is a respectable number for an MLS franchise, but it's nowhere near the global elite. After the signing, that valuation rocketed toward $1 billion almost overnight. The club became the newest member of the billion-dollar sports franchise club, a tier usually reserved for NFL teams and European giants with century-long histories. You can see the mechanics of this valuation jump in the ticket market. This is pure supply and demand arbitrage. Before the announcement, the cheapest ticket to an Inter Miami game was about $29. The moment the news broke, that same ticket on the secondary market jumped to $467. That is a 1,500% markup. And people paid it, they paid it gladly. But the Messi effect is a rising tide that lifts all boats. This is why the other owners in the league were okay with Miami breaking the rules to sign him. When Messi travels to play an away game, the opposing team makes a fortune. Attendance for Inter Miami away games jumped by 16%. But that percentage hides the real story. Opposing teams realized they could not fit the demand in their soccer-specific stadiums. Teams like Sporting Kansas City and the Chicago Fire moved their games from their 20,000-seat home stadiums to massive NFL venues like Arrowhead Stadium and Soldier Field. They sold 60,000 or 70,000 tickets for a single regular season match. For some of these clubs, one game against Messi generated more revenue than half of their regular season combined. Then look at the sponsorship revenue. This is the lifeblood of a modern sports franchise. In 2022, Inter Miami sponsorship revenue was hovering between $15 and $20 million. By 2024, that number had exploded to $80 million. That puts an American soccer team in the same revenue bracket as top-tier European clubs. Brands that had previously ignored the MLS were suddenly fighting to get their logo on the sleeve of the jersey or on the advertising boards around the pitch. They weren't paying for local exposure, they were paying for global visibility because they knew the eyes of the world were on number 10. This global expansion is measurable. In 2025, Inter Miami became the 5th best-selling soccer club globally in terms of merchandise. They sit on a list next to Real Madrid, Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, and Bayern Munich. Those clubs have been building their fan bases for over 100 years. Inter Miami has existed since 2018. That is the power of the asset Messi created. When you analyze these numbers, you realize that calling Messi a player is technically accurate but functionally wrong. He is not an employee. He operates as a separate business entity within the league. He is a partner who drives revenue for Apple, clears inventory for Adidas, fills stadiums for opposing owners, and triples the franchise value for Inter Miami. The salary cap constraints were just a hurdle to clear, so that the real business could take place. He didn't sign a contract to play soccer, he signed a contract to operate a business that happens to be on a soccer field. So when you do the real math, the Saudi deal actually looks small. Messi didn't just sign a contract, he acquired a portfolio of assets that grow alongside his performance. If you want more breakdowns of the business deals changing sports forever, make sure you subscribe to Revenue Racers right now.